because 79% of our viewers are from Saskatchewan. We had an analytic meeting yesterday, and it was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Were you part of that? I don't think you were.
No, I missed that one.
But for the Saskatchewanites, Saskatchewanians, the Ryder Most Outstanding Player Awards are these: MVP Cody Fajardo, Defensive Player Charleston Hughes, Special Teams Johnny Ryan, Top Canadian Cam Judge, Top Lineman Dan Clark, Top Rookie Dakota Shipley. And it's kind of funny because, the envelope says, right? Everybody's excited for a long time, and then the awards come out, and then it's like,
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah, now we wait.
Now we wait. But the only one, and Sandra's watching, I believe she's in Saskatoon, and she says on the Facebook wall, they nominated John Ryan over Brett Lowther, which I'm a bit surprised by. I'm not. Lowther's missed some kicks.
He's missed some converts.
Some converts.
Yeah.
John led the CFL in punting. As a matter of fact, if you had a look at the game notes last week, the top 3 all-time punting seasons in the CFL, 2 of them are owned by John Ryan, statistically.
Unbelievable.
For punting depth. And leading the league with 12 singles. I think you're surprised because everybody's been crapping all over John all year around here, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Depends which
that's part of it.
Depends which stats guy you are and which stats
you want to use.
Which
Yeah.
stats breakdown guy you
Well,
want
that's part of it for sure, crapping on John Ryan. And then I think people get excited because we remember the great moments, and so we think of the walk-offs for Brett Lowther to win football games, so he's made some clutch kicks. I think the fact that we're talking about it and it's somewhat maybe of a question, that's a good situation, right? Having 2 potential nominees. But John Ryan's had a good year, and he deserves it.
I would have thrown Luchas Purifoy into that mix as well. I think he's, and again, the numbers I haven't looked at or anything, but I just feel like he's always dangerous every time he gets his hands on the ball in a return capacity. Like it just always feels like this could go.
Sandra goes on to say, sure, but 2 walk-off wins, the Labor Day Classic and Saturday in Edmonton. Yeah, he did his job.
He was paid to do that.
It's like when I go to the till at a coffee shop and it's got a tip prompt on the swipe machine. I'm like, what am I tipping for? You poured me a coffee. You didn't even bring it out to my table.
Yeah, exactly.
You did your job. What am I tipping for?
Yeah.
Brett Lowther did his job. He'd have been hung at center field if he hadn't. You're not going to win Most Outstanding Special Teams Player of the Year because you kicked 2 walk-off field goals. Big deal. If it had happened a minute into the game, it would be the same thing. It just happened to be timing. Mm-hmm. And I think John Ryan did have a very good year, obviously statistically, but Brenda in Saskatoon said she'd be watching in the huddle tonight rather than Game 7 of the World Series. I had Jim Hobson on the program. It actually aired in Access markets last night. It'll air in Shaw markets tonight. And spoiler alert, Jim Hobson said John Ryan won that game for the Riders in Edmonton on Saturday because it was a high snap. I didn't see it. It was an errant snap.
Don't discredit. He holds on every one of those kicks and those game-winning kicks. And Hoppy is absolutely right. So it was not a great snap.
Erratic snap. John pinned it. Lowther put it through. So there's another reason why JR has been named Special Teams Player of the Year for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Boy, El Presidente, he doesn't miss much yet, does he?
Nope.
He's all over it.
That's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I love your little comment on, I don't want to say who it was about, but the Riders are 2 home wins away from the Grey Cup.
Yeah. We can't
There's a story and it's funny. Of course you can say it.
So in 2009, the Riders had two games left in the regular season. One of them, I can't remember how it lined up, but the one was an away game that didn't matter, win or lose. But it basically came down to a season-ending game against Calgary. They win that game, they would get the West Final. So win that game, you have the West Final. Win the West Final, you're in the Grey Cup. So even with 2 regular season games left, you had 2 wins at home and you're in the Grey Cup, mathematically. So I asked a pretty good slot back for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I said, how do you manage going into this stretch when you know that you just need 2 home wins and you're in the Grey Cup? Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and he's like, well, I don't know where you get that from. And I kind of paused. The other reporters.
It was
around.
Fantus. Did you say it was Fantus?
No, I didn't, but it was Andy. And I mean, it was just straight math. He thought I was trying to kind of corner him into a controversial question when realistically it was just math. Like, you win at home, you get into the West Final. You win in the West Final, you're into the Grey Cup.
Right.
He hadn't looked at the math maybe quite as much as I had, but his comeback was just, I don't know where you get that from, and it was just so salty, and he was almost insulted by this question that it kind of became.
Yeah, but you understand now, having been around football players long enough,
they don't
look that far down the road. They're looking at for sure just this game, and probably looking at his assignment on the next play.
And it's funny because they're practicing indoors, and it was at the Eventplex. We were indoors at the Eventplex, so there's a lot of symmetry to 10 years ago. When essentially, it's going to come down to them, and it's going to come down to probably Calgary. You win this home game, you're into the final. Then you're off to Calgary to play a Grey Cup. Like, all these things,
which would essentially be another home game.
Yeah, but it is a very. I mean, Rider fans probably hope the symmetry isn't quite the same all the way through to the 60-minute point of the Grey Cup. But there's a lot of similarities.
Sal Majuri is watching from Florida today, and he says, can't wait to get to the game on Saturday. It's 85 here in Smyrna Beach, Florida. Go Riders. And Sal's son is on the Riders coaching staff, the running backs coach, Kent Majuri, who is an outstanding individual. Just so you know, Sal, the forecast is, have you looked at the forecast for Saturday?
Oh, no.
Is it supposed to be like a couple of degrees above?
Saturday is +2 Celsius and cloudy. So that would be about 40 Fahrenheit. Anybody want to do the math on that?
No.
Any old
schoolers? No, it would be like 34, 35.
Isn't 37 0?
40 is 32 is 0, 40 is 4 degrees.
All I
That's
know
about 35.
is that they meet at -40.
Yeah, and they do
That's
meet
the
at
only
-40.
thing I know.
Yeah.
Actually, I just did a calculator on that. It will be 36. Oh, I'm sorry. I said 40. 36 Fahrenheit. So, Sal, bundle up. Yeah. And by the way, there will be no official tailgate party at the Armory. There will be one indoors for Armed Forces personnel. I hope I got that right. And the military personnel wanted me, well, they didn't want me to pass it along, I don't think, but they did notice that I'm the only one wearing a poppy.
I usually wait till November 1st.
On the jacket.
I'm a November 1st guy.
That's actually a good story.
What's going on?
Protocol is last Friday of October.
But just on the poppy, if you're going to change it, but poppy, that's a good question because I wear it on my jacket all the time. Would you wear it on your jacket and then on your shirt too?
Sure.
Like, I know you wear it on the air.
Goes to the right place.
I'm going to change I'm going to put it on.
What? Also, this is an Armory question. They have the War Museum in there.
Yeah.
I got to get by there. I just saw the sign yesterday. I was driving by. I got to get in there and check that out.
I think they just put it up.
Yeah, well, the
just
sign,
within the last couple of weeks.
The sign is new, and I spent last weekend at the RCMP Heritage Center, which was fantastic. And then I was driving by and I saw, what's got a War Museum here? I'm into that sort of stuff. I'm kind of a dork. So I got to check that out now because that looks fantastic over there.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.